All right, Travis Brown, horror movies uncut, submissions and slashers. I am joined by one half of the team. And here's a funny thing, Austin. So like I'm a pro wrestling fan. So when I see names like Austin Andrews, you know what I mean, and Andrew Holmes, like I'm like, you guys are like the Freebirds, like a wrestling tag team rock and roll express, you know? And it's funny because we're gonna be talking about your film the Island Between Tides. You guys got a big premiere coming up. It's going to be the opening night film for Cinequest, man. It's so exciting. But one thing that I would love to ask you to just kind of just break every single little bit of ice that we already haven't broken so far. If you guys were to come up with a tag team wrestling name based off of this film, what would it be? Let's
Ooh,
go.
I love
Right
this
into
question.
it,
I
baby.
love it. I love it.
Let's
And based on
go.
the film, that adds another layer of complexity to it because, like, the film, so much of the film is musical. It's musical. It's
Yes.
musical more than it's actually vocabulary too. So, what
Right.
I wonder is if there's a way that we can have something that's actually like sung rather
Yeah.
than said, and have
Yeah.
that be the tag team name, or
Right.
if it's something that
See,
just
like,
for us.
it's crazy because, like, I think a couple things, right? So I think like characters like Raven, right? And how he
Yeah,
like his brood of group of people. But I feel like it would be a bunch of like women instead, you know what I mean? And they would
yeah,
probably
yeah.
come out with like flutes or something, you know what I'm saying? And like they would serenade the crowd. And rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. Like I feel like he's kind of like that type of character that will be represented in a film like The Island Between Tides because he like the big thing he did is he kind of enchanted the entire crowd with his intro. You know what I mean? I feel like you guys would have something like that going on.
Enchantment. I love that because I
Yeah,
think that's the vibe too. Get someone under a spell,
for
weave kind of
sure.
a hypnotic thing, and have that be the lead.
So for people that are familiar with this enchanting tale that's kind of based off of this very well-known play. Now, of course, Peter Pan is the play that's really what this playwright's known for. But you guys have stumbled upon this kind of like story that, like, and when you look at it from a play, it doesn't necessarily seem like it's outright a supernatural type of thing. But what
Mhm.
you guys are able to do is take it into this extra fantasy realm, and you kind of add a little bit of things that we've seen in like classic British cinema and all types of stuff to bring the Island Between Tides together. And I'm just curious right off the bat, how did this lay in your guys' lap? And what was kind of the initial thoughts on how we're going to get this project started?
Yeah, I love that question. And there's so many different kind of facets to this. But looking at the play, like it still boggles my mind that here we are with what almost acts as sort of a thematic sequel to Peter Pan. And
Mhm.
it's never been adapted as a feature film before.
Yeah.
And it's darker, it's edgier, it's
Right.
it's it's more melancholy, but
Yep.
it's in a way this more mature reworking of these themes from Peter Pan.
Mhm.
And to be able to be the first to adapt it, I know we won't be the last. Not for lack of trying. Alfred Hitchcock
Yeah,
famously
man.
spent
Like
his career
the
trying to get this
fucking
made.
OG tried to do it and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
got
yeah,
shut
yeah,
down.
yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
could you imagine Alfred Hitchcock being alive right now, being able to make like whatever films he wants to right now?
Oh
Like,
man, I
insane.
know. And all the films of his that may be like this one, we were
Mhm.
were denied. But I think
Right.
there's such a large shadow that this property casts, both being this sequel of sorts to one of the most beloved plays of all time, but
Mhm.
also this object of obsession for one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. And so and Andy and I knew that in our adaptation of it, we would need to be able to sort of take a step back and find the things that resonate with us and find sort of a bit of a different angle in. And so rather than just do a straight adaptation, we've looked at something that's sort of as much adaptation as it is sequel in a
Uh-huh.
way. The main character from the original is just a secondary character in ours.
Right, right,
um,
right.
in a way, sort of an original piece that takes some of these themes that are so tantalizing from the play and puts those front and center, but with a new story to support it, one that can be set in our backyard in northern British Columbia, a world that we know so well.
Yeah, and that's where you guys shot most of the film, of course, was in that area, which is just like so unfair to have Hollywood technically behind you. You know what I mean? But and I like I have people, I'm here in the Midwest in the States in Missouri, and I always have people say, "Why are there so many filmmakers from Canada?" I'm like, you just might want to visit it sometimes. I'm like, there's a lot you can do, especially when it comes to genre films. And I think one of the great things about having your guys' film as like the opening night movie for a festival that touches so many different genres like CineQuest, how excited are you guys to actually sit there in the audience with the crowd, be able to get some questions asked, and really enjoy the experience of your film being released to the audience in this way, as they like to say, as it's meant to be, right on the screen in front of an audience.
Oh, just beyond excited. I mean, this has been such a long path to screens. In a way it goes back right to the very beginning of my collaboration with Andy. We've been working together for 12 years. This is our second film in that time,
Mhm.
and this is, to be able to let the rest of the world in now, one screening at a time, and start to share what we've been up to all this time. Making a film, whether it's in a collaboration like ours, or as an individual director, whatever it is, it can be a really lonely experience too, because you're constantly fighting people who are saying no.
Yeah,
It's almost a default answer when making an independent film. So it is so much easier for people to say no, whether it's casting, financing, location scouting, whatever it is, the various gatekeepers, and pushing through the 20 no's to get to the one yes.
yeah,
And there's 100 yeses that have led to this film being made and now finished and premiering at CineQuest, of course, being one yes.
yes,
But for every one of those yeses, there's 20 no's. And
right.
so, it does require a bit of, resilience and stamina, and to be able to now premiere it tomorrow and be able to just be there with the energy of a crowd, being able to share this thing that's such a big personal part of all of us.
For sure.
um it's going to be very meaningful.
I love that you use words like meaningful, because it one of the things that I think speaks volumes about this movie that's going to touch a lot of people is the family dynamic in here. Um, Touching base on this cast, Paloma, I mean, what can you say? She's just awesome in here. But having someone like Donnell, who this guy, I don't think there is a role like ever that I've ever seen this man in that is just wrong.
Yeah.
Like he hits it nail on the head all the time. Talk about like family, how that plays into this film, and then also how that dynamic, or excuse me, that dynamic is presented when you see what's going on with Jared and Lily and like all these, because there's just so much. And for the people that aren't familiar with the story, they may not know about what happens with this island and all things. But I think what they'll get to see, even from the trailer, is that clearly there's a strong family element in here, because there's people, children are missing, and daughters and fathers are involved. So just give me a little bit about how that kind of plays into the creation, and how it also was on the set, and how everything came together.
Yeah. Well, that idea of family is at the center of everything. I mean, I consider all of my favorite movies and the films that sort of led me to wanting to actually be a filmmaker myself, many of which this sort of tips its hat to. There's always the not just the family unit at the center, but ideas around, as it is in this one, what does it take to break down what should be our strongest bonds? What does what are those bonds made of? And in the case of this film, where we have our main character who's missing for 25 years and the world moves on without her,
Mhm.
and then she returns as though no time has passed for her, but the rest of the world has aged 25 years around her. What does that do to her family?
Yeah,
Is her family still her family even after they've grieved and let go as best they can?
right,
Her son is now older than she is. It
right.
poses so many interesting, this dynamic is so kind of the singular, I guess, or at least
Mhm.
something where it allows us to explore in a very heightened manner some really interesting dynamics around, ideas of belongingness and what really does constitute a family,
Yeah.
and shifting, kind of shifting dynamics, and that's right at the center of it. Like, yes, this is it's a genre film for sure. We're
Mhm.
in that sort of supernatural mystery,
Mhm.
supernatural thriller zone, sort of horror adjacent. I adore horror. I'm a huge horror fan.
Yeah.
And I look at this as, I'm big on kind of looking at more broad
Hey
categorizations of what
man,
horror
you got that underground film behind you on that wall that like true horror fans really enjoyed Summer of '84 when it came out. Like
Yeah,
that's
I edited
that's
that
that
film.
that's
And
the
so
movie
that's
that even before it got on Shutter, people were like, "Yo man, have you seen Summer of '84 yet?" So yeah, so we know we see the credentials, fam. We see them.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean?
That's my world through and through. And I think, I look at like a, a, a lot of the movies that I consider scariest aren't ones that would necessarily even be considered horror. And
Right.
I think
Right.
that's something that I really look at with The Island Between Tides as well too.
Mhm.
And with Andy and I, a big part of our goal was to get under people's skin and to be able
Yes.
to have them look at, maybe the people who are closest to them in their lives and ask themselves, like, do I really know that person as well as I think I do?
For
It's
sure.
these sort of questions that are so fascinating, tantalizing, and to be able to explore that stuff with this cast, like,
Yeah.
this is we would have workshops and rehearsals going into production as much time as we could get with our actors, where we would show up at the Performing Arts Theater in Prince Rupert and just get them on stage and just as much talk as sort of riff and
Mhm.
find these dynamics between the characters. And yeah, it was such a treat, being able to, especially with Andy and I being newer directors. This is our second feature that we've directed, to
Right.
be able to learn from actors of this caliber,
Oh yeah.
is everything.
This has been fantastic, Austin. I would love to talk to you so much about this film, but I'm definitely going to let you go so that you can get on to some more interviews and really get to promoting the film. I'm actually going to be heading up to Panic Fest, and I believe you guys might be playing up there as well in
We
Kansas
sure
City.
are.
Yep, that's right up the road from me. So I'll be for sure spreading the knowledge of, hey, you better be getting some tickets to see this one. Hey, this
Appreciate it,
film I
Travis. Thank
think
you.
is so well done. That's one of the greatest things that I can give as a compliment to it. One thing that I would like to say though, with so much that's involving with the film and with so much that people are going to be able to take, what is it that you guys hope that people take from The Island Between Tides when they get finished watching the film, especially when you guys are leaving that theater and you're getting ready for those question and answer segments down there at CineQuest?
Yeah, I think so much of it are these ideas that the film poses around time, sort of what it is it to kind of exist outside time, and what legacy is it that we all actually leave behind. And that's one of the real messages of the film is this idea that we can't take our time for granted. And every relationship, every moment we spend with loved ones, this is really essential stuff. And to see, as with Lily, how that time gets robbed from her.
Right.
I hope that we can reflect back on that a little bit too, and see just how we can make the most of what we're given ourselves in terms of precious moments.
That's awesome, man. I feel like you guys would have a finishing move as a tag team connection called the Time Robber. That would be
Oh, I
some
like that.
combination of an off the rope, suplex pile driver type of mix. So, I'd be sitting there for the 1, 2, 3 count, man. Austin, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Give Andy my best too. You guys enjoy the festival, enjoy some sunny weather and everything that comes with it. And like I said, man, I can't wait for people to get a chance to see this. And I'm, even if I have the time, I'm gonna try to pop in because I want to see this so much more on a bigger screen than what I'm watching on. So it's so great to be able to get this time for you, brother. So I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Travis.
Not
And
a problem.
we'll see you